Hello, it's the Middle Country Public Library podcast coming to you from a special location this week, Podfest 2025 in Orlando, Florida. I'm Sal DiVincenzo here with my fabulous colleague, Sarah Fade.
Hello.
And special episode this week because in about 3 weeks from now, we are hitting a milestone here at the podcast. It is our 7th anniversary of doing this show for you, our patrons, and whoever accidentally stumbles upon the channel and clicks on us. It's our 7th anniversary, and we're learning a lot here at this year's Podfest. We will be bringing it back to you, and stay tuned because at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about how you can take advantage, if you're either a patron of the library or you live on Long Island, you can take advantage of some great things that we have here at Center Reach at the library. If you want to create your own podcast, right?
Yeah.
But I did want to ask Sarah a couple questions this week.
Okay.
Because Sarah, you were the one who came up with this crazy idea of doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily have like specific as far as like how many weeks in a row we should do it, or what sort of things we were going to do. So tell me, what made you want to come up to do a podcast? What was the thinking behind that?
Oh, 7 years, holy crow.
Right?
I
Isn't it
know.
crazy?
That's
And I just want to mention this before you get started. We do 7 years nonstop. We did 7 years through COVID, the pandemic. We do 7 years through all the little snowstorms we had. We do 7 years, the whole time we do 7 years. It's every single week. This is episode, I think it's 363 of the podcast.
Eesh.
So, I mean, what was so let's go back just a little farther.
Okay.
We started this the discussion started about 6 months before.
Yeah.
So you came to me and you said, what'd you say? What'd you ask me? You said,
Well, I just want to preface this by saying Sal was very negative.
I was actually.
Yeah. He had very little faith in this materializing.
Yeah.
But it did.
It did.
It did. But we had to do our homework and we had to present it, So we're always trying to do new things at the library and, not being on the forefront, but just trying to have the newest and best things for patrons and ways to kind of reach out to patrons with what we do.
Yes.
So this was something that my memory is 7 years is a long time.
It is a long time, yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how we discussed it or, we've always just talked about podcasts.
We did talk about it. So I did a podcast for the library. It was the Miller Business Center podcast.
Yes, the Miller Business Center. But that wasn't...
It didn't last more than 20 episodes, but I will say that we did that back in 2012. We did that podcast, the Miller Business Center podcast. And this we started talking about 5 years later. It was 2017. It was the fall of 2017 when you came up to me and you basically said, Sal, I'd like to do a library podcast. Do you want to help? And I said, not really.
I said, too bad. Too bad I can't do it by myself, which I couldn't.
Yeah.
I could have, but that's no fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing you said to me is, look, you know how to do this. You did it before. I think you should just kind of help out with it and see where it goes. And I mean, for those of you out there who are interested in starting your own podcast, it took us a while to get to where we are now. I mean, it took us 6 years just to get to video. So, we started out, if you don't know the story, we started out in a closet in the librry.
We're still in the closet.
We're still in the closet. We've jazzed the closet up a little bit, but we started out in a closet in the library. If you've watched the show or listened to the show or watched the show, you'll notice there's an evolution every week. We get better and better with it as far as things in the background and our
lighting,
our little lighting and whatnot.
Lighting.
But what were because I forgot since it's been such a long time, but for people who maybe want to start their own podcast, maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they have started their own podcast, they're running into issues. What were some of the challenges that you felt we had that we kind of overcame the first year? I mean, for me, being the editor, the challenges were, the software I was using was a free software. It kind of stunk. It took me a long time to edit. Now we edit video, and we're bringing some more amazing technology back with us here from Florida.
Just keeps getting better
and
better.
Getting better. Every year we come back with something for you to use in the library. So, but I think, if I remember correctly, one of the challenges was, what were you going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But you had a really great system set up that first year. What did you do? You had like a Google... like a Google sheet.
I did. I had like a little data sheet, and then themes and ideas, and what was going on in the library and the seasonal stuff. So it was a little stressful to always having something that would be interesting for you guys to listen to. But that got easier too. So
if there were any budding podcasters out there who are maybe interested in starting this whole thing, do you have any advice for them for that first year?
Well, I guess it would be to do what we did. Now, let me preface
Not exactly, but
let me preface it by saying is coming up with an outline, which is what we did. We sort of came up with our format, and how many times we wanted to record.
Yes.
And how long we wanted to keep it, because some people, I guess, which I don't think so. I think most pod people are they have a very set thing. So it's like every week, 15 minutes, an hour, long format, short format. So it was good that we kind of figured out what worked best for us.
Yeah.
And then I would say you should try to keep a sheet, keep a record of what you want to talk about and everything beforehand, so you don't feel stressed.
Yes.
Because that's, I think, that helped us to not become frazzled.
There was stress. There was a lot of stress, yeah.
Well, not like that, though.
Not crazy stress, but for me, there's stress in just getting the episode up every week. That's, for me, it's a tough thing to do, because you may or may not know this, but this isn't our only job.
Yeah.
We do a lot of things at the library. All the librarians do, and I think we're like some of the hardest working librarians in the biz. At Middle Country, because we want to bring you all the wonderful stuff, and we want to provide you with top-notch customer service, top-notch resources. So it's we have that going on, and then we have this, but I feel like this is a good part of that.
Yeah.
Of what we do. So where do you see this show in the future? Where do you see podcasting in the future? In general?
I don't know. That's crazy. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll... I would like to do an episode where we have filters on our face. I could be a cat, and you could be like a rabbit.
Oh, you want to do something like that? We could do that. Maybe next Halloween we'll have like a virtual episode.
But, some of the things that I went to this year centered a lot around AI, artificial intelligence. So, I mean, this might be behind the scenes, but how we can integrate AI to help us with some workflows. I know Sal will probably bring that into Miller Business and the podcast, the Pod Studio, and stuff like that. New stuff like that. So that's behind the scenes. I don't know. What do you think?
I think we're going to see more podcasts in the next year. I think there's going to be a lot more. Yes, I think we're going to see a lot more libraries in the country coming out with their podcasts. I think we're going to see a lot more individuals who have a story to tell, and I think the reason is because of AI. I think, and one of the there were a lot of tracks this year, and AI was like the most popular one, video and AI. And I think the thing that I saw is, you do not have to know technology anymore to do this stuff. I did a program this morning about a piece of software called Descript, which evidently we now have because the Squadcast that we have that we did for during the pandemic. We used the software Squadcast just for the audio. They were bought out by Descript, so now we have Descript.
Oh, okay.
Is that exciting, everyone? But basically, if you can copy and paste or delete from like Microsoft Word, you can edit your podcast.
Right, that's great.
Yeah, and we also have another piece of software that we met one of the designers of is Adobe Podcast. And you all know Adobe, the PDF people and the Photoshop people. They have a podcasting platform that is also AI.
Amazing, yeah.
It's also amazing, and it transcribes the your voice in your episode. And let's say you say or well, or there's like a pause or noise or something like that. You basically delete it like you're deleting a word, and then after it's gone, and you can't really tell the difference
in the audio.
The audio, the video though would be another thing. And someone asked, what do you think? So I just actually did like 2 hours ago. I did a program with a producer, podcast producer, and he also comes from television. So that's what he did for like 20 years. He was in TV. And someone asked, what do you think of those like the jump cuts when someone's talking, like these talking heads? If you're on YouTube and you're watching YouTube, sometimes you see somebody and then you're probably going to see them on this episode because we had things flying behind the camera over here. And he's like, I there's nothing I can do about it. It's just what people expect now. And they're okay with it. They're okay with those jump cuts in between there. So yeah, I think the future is AI, and it's interesting because there's a company called 11 Labs. I don't know if you've heard that. If you've ever heard of 11 Labs, they allow you give them your voice, you pay for their service, and they clone your voice. And then you just type what you want to type, and your voice comes out, and you record a podcast, and it's done. And that's kind of scary to think about it, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great stuff. Every time we come here, my rule is I have to have one amazing idea every day of the show. And I have more than one for every day of the show. So I was happy about what I'm bringing back. But I promised I would give you a little bit of a mention here at the end to remind everyone, if you don't know, that the library has a podcasting and a media studio. We'll call it a media studio because Nicole's not here, but if she was here, she'd hit me because it is a media studio because it's not just audio, it's video. And with that, you are able to reserve that spot. And for 6 hours a month, we do it 3 hours at a time, you can come in and use our professional equipment and record your own podcast, or record your video podcast for YouTube, or interview someone, or edit your videos with our Final Cut Pro software that we have on our computer. So we have that for you, and it's absolutely 100% free. It is open to the public. So if open to everybody. You don't just have to have a Middle Country card. So if you can come down to the library, you can use this service. It is by appointment only, and you will have to take an orientation. But once you do, you'll be able to take advantage of that equipment and the software and create your own podcast and bring your authentic self out into the world in the form of either a video podcast or an audio podcast. And that was it was AI and authenticity were the themes of this year's show. You can do that. And on top of that, last year we had a podcasting workshop series at the Miller Business Center. Did you know that?
I think I did.
I think you did. And not only did we have a podcasting workshop at the Miller Center, but I recorded it. Yes. So part 1 and 2 is currently on the channel. So just do a search. Actually, it's not on this channel. It's on the Miller Business Center channel. So we will put a link in the show note here where you can go to watch that. And part 3 is very shortly will be up on the channel. So maybe you're not watching this when it comes out. It'll already be there. So check out the Miller Business Center's YouTube channel to watch Podcasting 101, 102, 103. You know, Podcasting 102 was in the art of the interview, and we had Tim Healy and Brian Cohen, who are both podcasters. Tim has a very popular podcast out there. He interviews a lot of big people. Brian's on TV. You might have seen him on, was it channel 18 or 20? What's that channel that they shows on the cable there on Optimum? He's on cable, so you watch him too. So you might recognize his voice or his face when you see him on the show. So so Podfest, Podcasting Podfest 2025. In the books, and it was a good show, and we're very excited about what we're going to bring back to you. And as the show progresses and evolves, hopefully you will stick with us. So if you want to listen to older episodes or read our show notes, visit our website, mcplpodcast.com. And we'd greatly appreciate if you watched this video and you're here at the end of the video, you hit the like button and you hit subscribe, because after these last couple of days, man, we got some great stuff coming up for you in the near future.
Yep.
So for Sarah Fade, I'm Sal DiVincenzo. See you next time.
Bye.